Smyrna River.
What is up, Madcaps? Hello, how we doing? Woo! Woo! Let's give it up for our comics on open mic. This is not easy to do. It's kind of like riding a roller coaster. It's like, so I recently learned the difference between anxiety and excitement. There is no difference. It's just the feeling that you have when you're going into it. So when you're waiting in line to go on a roller coaster, you know why you're feeling like crazy. But when you just wake up in the morning, you're feeling crazy, you're like, okay. So I just started thinking, I'm doing stand-up today. Okay, that's it. That's what's going on. So I was not mauled by a bear, if you're wondering. I'm just into stealing my husband's t-shirts and cutting them up. and then having fights with him in my head, because that is fun to do. So I do like being an independent person. I like doing things on my own. Sometimes I'll go out just by myself. And so it's alarming how many men will approach me and ask, what man let you out of his sight? Like, you'll be so surprised to learn that they let me get an education to drive a vehicle too. Well, I do really have the Girl Scouts to thank for my independence. They taught me growing up that I could be anything I wanted to be, as long as I was willing to sell my cookies in the street corner. Those drug dealers never even taught me how to bake the cookies. So I had to find a new career, after Girl Scouts, and the cookies ran out. So I did go to college. I got a bachelor's degree in engineering. Ooh. Yeah, it's really paying off. My husband was so supportive all through college. He would say I was his retirement fund. I used to think he was joking. Until I told him I was going to do stand-up comedy. Now I'm not so sure. He saw me leaving to come here tonight in one of his favorite shirts. So that'll be fun. So I have been wondering, when is the right time for a midlife crisis? Is it too soon? Like, I'm kind of ready for it. But my aunt was telling me she knew exactly when it was time for her midlife crisis. It was when her titties dropped. So I didn't know that was a thing. I was like, Auntie, what do you mean your titties dropped? She's like, I don't know, baby, but I remember exactly. I was driving. It was daylight. Okay. The time of day matters. So now whenever I hit a speed bump or sneeze too hard, I'm like, this is it. Midlife crisis time. Finally time to get a boat. I don't have kids, but I have friends with kids. And it is a lot like having a boat. You get all the joys of owning a child with none of the responsibilities. The only difference is, I do want a boat. Kids are only good for one thing, theme parks. There's all these awesome rides, but you need to be accompanying a child just to ride. You need a whole child just to enter Legoland. Like, that's facts. So, clearly I could ride some of those rides, but alas, a child is required. And my husband will never let me ask a stranger to borrow one of their kids. Like, I look trustworthy. I swear I'm not gonna try to keep it. That might be why they keep saying no. Sometimes I just chuck in behind a family and pretend like I belong until they finally do notice and start giving weird looks, and then I just act like I'm lost or foreign. Like, oh, estoy perdida, extranjera. I wish we could treat relationships like we do employment. Like, we could request an application, a resume, and some references. I'd like to hear from your last 3 exes. Background checks. How many laps would that save? The 90-day review would be like, oh, we're going to need to see some improvement in the romance department. And you reserve the right to terminate their contract without reason or warning. It's a right to date state. Thank you guys. I'm Spamela Rivers, and you've been spammed.